If they don't know the culture, this will be the main mistake. Because under this culture, you will find a lot of things. If I'm pricing my products here in Asia with $10 means in Egypt, 500 Egyptian, which is expensive. So you need to do a lower price. But it could work. Yani in Saudi Arabia, this will be $10, 37.5 Saudi Riyal. So you need to adapt your pricing. This is one of the important things.
Welcome to Brave. Learn from Southeast Asia's best tech leaders. Build the future, learn from our past, and stay human in between. No BS on success. I'm Jeremy Au, venture capitalist, serial founder, Harvard MBA, science fiction nerd, and dad of 2 daughters. Every week, we debate startup news, interview changemakers, answer listener questions, and share personal insights. Join our movement of over 40,000 members and get transcripts, resources, and community at www.bravesea.com. Stay well and stay brave.
Hey, Megan.
Hi.
I'm excited to have you on the show.
I'm happy and excited for this podcast.
Yeah, and I think what's amazing is that you had such a wonderful panel talking about the Middle East and the region yesterday at EdTech Asia conference. Excited to have you talk a little bit about your personal experience.
Yes.
Also, I think share people who are curious about the Middle East as a region from an Asia perspective. So could you introduce yourself?
My name is Maged Harby.
Yeah.
I'm a general partner at VMS. VMS is a corporate venture studio based in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. We are focusing on helping startups to expand their business to the Middle East, especially to Saudi Arabia, through a program called the Bridge. Also, we help and support startups through another program called Saudipreneur, and also we do investments in startups, plus other partnerships with the government and private entities. Before that, I was managing a company called EdVentures. EdVentures is a corporate venture capital focused on education. I started this position in 2019. Before that, I was the operation manager, and I left in December 2024. Before EdVentures, I was in Untitled. This is one of the biggest publishing houses in the Middle East. They do the curriculums for Ministry of Education in Egypt and other countries, Arab countries and African countries. I was managing the rights department. I was concerned with getting the rights and the license from different publishers like Cambridge, like Disney, like National Geographic and others to have these books and curriculums to be distributed and published in Egypt and around. Before that, after my graduation, I started my career as I stayed a few months, then joined one of banks called Barclays, and I also stayed around 2 months and then left, joined, and then EdVentures. Now I am at VMS.
You grew up in Egypt.
Actually, I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I was born in Saudi Arabia in 1986. I'm 39 years old now, father of 2 kids, and Marwan, 1 daughter and 1 boy. And I stayed at Saudi Arabia until grade 5.
Yeah.
Then starting from grade 7, I was in Egypt. I continue my journey in Egypt, then graduated from university and continue my career path until joining VMS and return back to Riyadh. That's it.
So obviously now you're in education tech, but I have to ask, were you like a good student? Were you a naughty student?
I think I was a good student, one of the people like studying, doing the homework, having a good grades, all of these things. And my target was to be engineer. But in Egypt, there is something called a degree. In order to graduate from school to university, you have to bring a specific grade to go to the university that you need. But my mother at that time told me you have to get 90% in order to go to an engineer school. I was studying hard to get this grade. I got 91. But at that time, the engineering school required 91.4 or 0.2, something like this. So unfortunately, I couldn't join engineering school and decided to go to business school. Then I went to business and accounting school at Ain Shams University and graduated 2007, and that's it. Now I think I'm a good student.
Yeah, you are a good student. Get 91%. That's a very high score. I think it's interesting because, you want to do engineering, but you end up doing business. Do you feel like there's I don't know what's the word, alternate universe?
Everyone at his childhood has something like a dream or something you need to do when he will grow up. So I thought at that time that I need to be engineer. In Egypt, every parent told their sons to be like an engineer or doctor. So I was following what they are looking for to do. And I thought that engineering is something good. Actually, of course, it is good. But after the change that happened, I think I'm at the right path. And I'm happy that I am a graduate from the Faculty of Business and Accounting and become what I am now.
Yeah. So no regrets about doing business. You study university in business, and then you were with a publishing group. How did you get that first job in publishing?
Like anyone in Egypt looking for a job, like any fresh graduates, they told us you need to have past experience to obtain this kind of job. How come? And I'm still fresh graduate, and they mentioning that this kind of jobs is available for fresh grad. I was applying to multiples of companies. I think I reached more than 500 companies applying for.
Wow.
And then before the publishing house, I found a call from Google asking me for an interview. And actually, I was not that okay, are they Google or not?
Yeah.
And I found them, yes. And I accepted and started with them, stayed few months, then went to the bank. I was not that happy at this bank and started applying again until finding a job position called rights assistant.
Yeah.
And I don't know what shall I do in the position, but the job description related to what I can do.
Yeah.
So I applied
Yeah.
at that time, and my manager there was Mr. who taught me a lot. And I can say this. After making this interview, I joined. Also, I made a second interview with the vice president of this company at that time, Ms. Dalia Ibrahim, and got this position, and then become the senior, then become the manager of this department, I think at 2010 or 2011, something like that. Then this department was not just making and having the rights and contracts with the international publishers, but also they added the BMO office to this department, project management, starting managing mega projects. It was a learning journey for me, and I was happy doing that until 2016. At 2016, I felt that I'm doing the same job every day, and I don't like this kind of routine. I was studying different things. I think at that time I was studying diploma at supply chain or something like that. I knocked out Ms. Daria. She was my direct manager at that time, and she became the CEO of the Litmus. And I told her I think I will not continue this job. And she asked me, why are you not happy? I told her I'm very happy, very satisfied, but I don't like routine and I need to do something different. She asked me to stay for a few months to see what we can do. And after that, she told me that we are going to open something called incubator. And I don't know what is the incubator or accelerator. I don't know anything about that. We took courses with the USAID and a study tour to USA, and also got another study tour to China to know more about incubators, accelerators, entrepreneurs, startups, all of these things, because I was a corporate guy and I'm not familiar with this kind of business. So after that, she told me, do you mind to join EdVentures? And I say yes, I would be happy. And I joined EdVentures from the establishment. And actually today, 18th October, is the 8th anniversary for EdVentures. I remember that day. I continued the journey there, made several incubation cycles and acceleration cycles, and it was focused only for education and EdTech startups, because EdVentures consider one of another most concerned with education and publishing. So we were focusing on this sector. At that time, the number of EdTech startups was not that high in Middle East and not that mature also. So that's why we started with incubation and then acceleration to give them the chance to grow. The journey continued until 2019. October 2019, and then I promoted to be the general manager of this company. And the team at that time was 2 or 3, included me myself, and they left. One of them married, and another one joined another company in recruitment sector. Then COVID.
Oh.
So I was alone until May 2020.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was updating and doing more procedures and process for how to obtain this startup, how to evaluate, how to know if this one will continue or not, something like this. And then continue the journey, started hiring more people. Yani, I remember Hamad Saeed, Khaled, Ada, Jumana, all of these people, and my friends until now. And we started the journey and continued the journey together under the supervision of Ms. Dalia, the founder and CEO of EdVentures. And we made several incubation and acceleration cycle until I left this company. We were investing in 23 tech startups, and more than 90 startups graduated from incubation and acceleration. Huge impact happened in the Middle East. Millions of users and the customers got new knowledge, and I was happy about that because I love doing anything that we feel the impact. Yes, of course, we are concentrated with the business and the returns and profits, but at the end, I'm looking for something tangible that can change the life for people. After that, I joined the BMS, and around half of the portfolio, so I'm happy about this. And I also have another one, health tech. So all of these sectors that doing impact, I love working with them.
I think let's talk about that because you were very much at the forefront of education technology in Egypt with the incubator, the accelerator, bring those startups. So, how do you put it in numbers or a sense of what the landscape is for education tech in Egypt? Is it like the number of people or students or?
Good question. This was one of the important things I was looking for, how to know this ecosystem.
Right.
What is the types of the companies and how we can say that this company could be related to EdTech or not. So I was looking for something like a framework, something to follow. And I found it with Holland IQ. They have the landscape for EdTech startups or sectors. There are 10 blocks. Under these 10 blocks, you will find 55 subsectors. So this was a roadmap or for me to guide me to get the needed startups. And after founding this, I started applying it to Egypt and the MENA region. Also, I partnered with Holland IQ to be representative in the Middle East and getting the numbers. I have partners, all of these things. We're very good people, Patrick and Maria, and very good people and that we worked together. Then we found several ways to define the EdTech. One by grades, K to 12, university, after university. Another way with the sectors, if they are related to jobs and recruitments, if they are looking for something like STEM or these areas. And for Egypt, for example, if we look for a number of students, we found them around 24 million students in K to 12 and number of teachers 1.2 million. How to attract and solve a problem for this huge number of people is not easy. And how to convince them or tell them to use something related to tech, because the culture behavior is not ready for them to study online. As most countries have a degree of readiness to use tech, actually COVID helped this to be faster. And the startups that we have invested in, like EOS, like Career 180, like OBM, Akhdar, all of them has the opportunity to get a good number of learners and students. And yes, it works.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is that we're talking about Egypt from a population, from a teacher, from an education tech perspective. But what's the cultural mindset of it? Because I know, for example, people like to say, okay, Chinese parents really want their kids to learn. American parents really want their kids to be creative
Yes.
and play. How would you assess the Egypt parents' mindset for their kids?
Actually, if we will look to parents' mindset in Egypt,
Yeah.
we'll find them, as I mentioned, they need their kids to be engineers or doctors. In order to reach this, they need them to join schools and universities. This is the norm in Egypt. So this is the thing that most of people doing. Other people have other directions. They need their kids to join international schools and then join a university in Egypt or outside. But at the end, the main goal is to complete their study until finishing university, not only the school. This was the main goal. And I think this also happening in MENA region, Middle East also, a lot of people doing this.
Very focused on the hero jobs or
Yes,
occupations.
Nowadays, there is new trends regarding vocational education, and they are starting promoting it. Still, some people think the culture is not accepting this kind of education because he will work in the blue job area. Not all of people like this, but actually it is kind of job, and they can gain a good income similar to the other types. So the culture started accepting this kind, but not that much until now. But it is on the way.
Now, what's the culture around entrepreneurship in Egypt? Is it thumbs up or
Okay, the entrepreneurship field in Egypt,
yeah?
I think, from my opinion, you will find a great talents there. There is a great minds, and they can do a lot of things with a minimal fees. If you give them not a huge amount of fund, they can use it in a perfect way, maybe better than if you give them 10 times of this investments. This one of things that I found and I faced with them. So you will find a great minds. They can do a great job for starting their startups, and it will work in a best way. Regulations there starting to promote startups and having them to include in the GDP, and they are promoting it and started to change the laws in order to fit with the startups. They are on the way. Other countries like Saudi Arabia also have a license called entrepreneurial license to reduce the cost for establishment and jobs, especially in the first 3 years. Emirates and UAE are also having some things similar. Qatar, the same thing. So I think the atmosphere in the Middle East is helping and supporting startups to start their jobs. And also there is a good grants and fundings that they can found there.
Yeah. I was in the Middle East earlier this year for my holidays. I was Oman and just having a great experience. And I realized that every country is very different. There's a culture, there's a history, obviously, but also in terms of the economy structure. I'm curious because a lot of founders think about the Middle East as potential markets to stand or get to, but they see Middle East as this.
Actually, this is a good thing that people need to go to Middle East,
Yeah.
but they need to be careful and study. Middle East is different countries, and each country has its ways, its regulation, its culture, and we need to be aware and keen about what is happening there. A lot of people think that Saudi Arabia, a lot of money will found there. Yes, you can find this, but if you provide a good solution that can fit with this country. If not, you will not find anything. Also, to reach the funding or investments there, you have to build good and strong partnerships and relations with key people in order to convince them with what you are doing. This is an important thing. It is not knock doors and have investments. It will not work like that. If I will go to the other side regarding establishing your business, you need to know if your product will fit in Saudi Arabia and in Egypt and in UAE or not. It may fit in Egypt, but may not fit in Saudi Arabia. You have to do some pivoting updates to your solution in order to fit this country. Maybe fit in a country with B2C and another country fit with B2B. You have to do this kind of study and to have a local team that they know the culture there and what is happening, what is important, what you need to know and what you have to ignore. All of these things is important, and sometimes you will find minor things that you think that it is not important, but if you didn't make it, you'll face issues or problems. Yes, it is a potential market, but you have to fit your product and know how to address this kind of markets.
So when you think about these markets, do you focus on partnerships? Do you recommend that or going in directly?
Having partnerships is important. If I have partners, each country and each sector, this could help to address new customers, build new programs, having something different that we can do because cooperation and collaboration can do a lot of good things. If I'm coming from outside to inside this country, having a local partner is important to tell me more about what is happening. If there's someone having something similar to what I am doing, faced an issues or something like this, how to address or how to avoid these things. So partnerships is one of important things to do. Plus, having a local team also important. Not it's not meaning having a huge number of people. No, you can have at least one, but this one team member could be your representative in this country to have the updates and do the meetings, all of these things. And other team developers, other jobs that do not require you to travel, could be at your home country.
When you think about the mistakes that people make, what are the common mistakes that people make when they enter the Middle East?
If they don't know the culture, this will be the main mistake. Because under this culture, you will find a lot of things. If I'm pricing my products here in Asia with $10 beans in Egypt, 500 Egyptian, which is expensive. So you need to do a lower price. But it could work. Yani in Saudi Arabia, this will be $10, 37.5 Saudi Riyal. So you need to make it like 30 or 40 or 35. So you need to adapt your pricing. This is one of the important things. Another one is related to user experience and user interface. Is this product user experience and interface will work in this country and that country or not? Because yes, it could work in my country in Asia, but if it's the GCC or Middle East countries. So this is also another important things. And yeah, we can name it under the culture is the main issue and main thing that we need to be aware about in order to avoid any kind of mistakes that could happen. The competitors.
Yeah.
Also very important. Someone doing, for example, it is not related to EdTech, but something related to FinTech. If I have a very good startup related to FinTech going to Saudi Arabia, most probably it will not work. Because Saudi Arabia is very advanced in the FinTech. The government itself providing a lot of solutions in FinTech, but it could work in Egypt, could work in UAE. So this is also another thing important for the government things. For local competitors, private, also it is important. If I have a solution like LMS, learning management system, and need to go to Saudi Arabia, for example, I will a huge company called Classera. If I'm not ready to compete with it, I think it is better to go to another country. Because competition at this case would require a lot of marketing funding, also require a lot of sales reps to go to schools to convince them with your solution, and your solution should be fitting their culture. It could be in Arabic and match with Arabic terminologies, Arabic themes. All of these things is very important.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that you obviously have a lot of experience both in Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Could you compare the two technology ecosystems? For example, you said Saudi Arabia is better in financial technology.
Okay, I can say that Saudi Arabia is a good place to promote and sell your products and startups after matching it with the culture. And Egypt, you can find a great talent and a great innovative ideas. So if we can complement both of them together, I think a huge things will be happened. And this happened with the startup youth. He is doing soft skills programs for university students and after graduation, and also Career 180 and OBM. All of these companies did a great job in both Egypt and Saudi Arabia. If they can partner or complement each other, this would be a great thing to do.
What are the youth thinking in Egypt and Saudi Arabia? Thinking about entrepreneurship? Because I know that the parental still wants the kids to be doctors and engineers, but what are the youth, the Gen Zs, the people who are learning, going through school now? What are their dreams? What are their ambitions?
Okay, I think new directions are coming from Gen Z. Gen Z now, I think they believe in entrepreneurship more than having a normal job. This could be a good thing because everyone need to do a new idea, need to solve a problem and a real problem in the market that a lot of customers need. So I think Gen Z will facilitate having more entrepreneurs. But what I can tell to them is be aware and keen to do something really solve a problem in your area or your market and have a scalable number of customers in order to success.
Yeah. Are they interested in different verticals? Are they interested in, I don't know, like tourism or education tech or logistics fields? Yeah.
The fields, the number one in Egypt is FinTech, and number five is EdTech, and health tech number six, sometimes number five, and EdTech could be number six. And Saudi Arabia, there is also logistics,
Yeah.
and there is tech, there is
Yeah.
supply chain, health tech, of course.
Yeah.
We will find these fields. So I think in this area, there is a good opportunities that the startups or entrepreneurs can find many solutions that they can provide. Yeah. So I think it is not related mainly on the sector, but for the ideas that can really solve the problem. But for myself, I'm looking for something related to impact for the economy, for the people. Yani, everything related to impact is good for me.
Yeah. I thought what was interesting was that I was in Riyadh for the Rise Up conference and I was a speaker there. And I think there's a lot of university students. That was interesting because they were like looking at ideas both from, I guess, the West and the East, right? So
Yes.
from America, but also
Yes.
from China. I thought
Yes.
it's quite interesting because
Yeah.
in America, they don't look at China as
Yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah, we know this.
But it's interesting because the youth work, and obviously
Both looking for
everywhere, right?
yes, yes.
It's quite interesting to see that happening. What's the rise of Western and Chinese influence for the entrepreneurship?
Okay, I think the Chinese have a great talent and they have great solutions. They're very advanced in new technologies like AI and deep tech and all of these new sectors. Also, if we will go to Europe, we'll find something similar. But also, I have the vision that it is something like a puzzle. If you put this piece and this piece, we can do a good frame or good thing together. So I think in Saudi Arabia, something like this through the 2030, and I think good things would be happening.
I'm just curious about when you see the future, like what are the hottest verticals or themes or hypotheses that you have as you're investing in startups for the future for the Middle East? So I'm just curious, like what are those themes that you're looking for? Yeah.
I will not say a thing related to the teams that I'm looking to invest, but I'm looking for seeing new startups for the personalized learning.
Okay.
This thing is something we know is coming, but until now we haven't seen something exactly. Something, for my opinion, similar to TikTok, using something like the algorithm inside this app, but for anything related to education. If I'm concerned with engineering, medicine, or any sector, this app can generate or bring videos or bring content related to this topic and know my level of in this subjects or these topics and can give me more information gradually until to be like an expert. This one of the things that I hope to find and to be related to the life that we live, not only having a content and then go to the way like that. No, I need something. If there is a bus in the street, they can tell me something related to the topic I'm studying. That this kind of buses using some kinds of engines that I'm just read about yesterday. Or if I'm studying math, they can tell me that the way of moving is using this kind of formulas. Something like this. Yeah, this what I'm looking for, and I know it will come. That's when and where, I don't know, and hopefully to see it here.
And when you think about how do you think the education systems in Middle East could improve?
Teaching is important topic because, as we mentioned, Gen Z is very advanced people. My son using tablets and using digital, I think better than me. His teacher, I think, is not matching his level. Tablets or digital things, all of these things. Plus, the teaching methodology, I think it's still old. The teachers themselves need to be updated and aware how to know the new way of teaching, how to do a real way to do remote teaching, how to give the information in a new and better way that match this new generation. There is a new generation coming after Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Gen Alpha, I think my son is Gen Alpha now. This is one of the important things, how to use new way of teaching. The number of teachers is increasing, and this also will not reflect the teachers. This will reflect the universities and schools that educate and graduate teachers. The professors themselves need to be educated and aware in order to teach it to the people that become teachers, and these teachers go to schools to have this cycle completed. Yeah. So it is an important thing, and we need good solutions for teachers or for people that need to become a new teacher on a new way of teaching, new way of teaching methodologies for people and students in order to complement and match with the new generations that are coming and new technologies.
Fantastic. Could you share a personal story about a time that you've been brave?
Actually, I'm happy with what I have done. Happy to see the impact happened for the startups that we have supported at EdVentures and now at VMS. Any impact that we can see in changing life or updating mindsets. This is a good thing for me. So I think the startups that we have supported impacted more than 3 million people. I'm very happy and proud of this. And hopefully we can continue and increase numbers. Actually, I'm a person who would like to work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This is what I love to do.
Yeah.
I don't like to be on the front.
Yeah.
I love being behind the scenes, support everyone
Yeah.
in order to do the things that we see at the end. And at the end, it is not, everything happening is not depend on one person. It is a teamwork. So having a good team, right partner, can do great things for the people, for the economy, for the country, everywhere.
All right. Thank you so much. I'd like to summarize the 3 big takeaways. First of all, thanks so much for sharing about the fact that you were a good student. That got 91%. And I thought it was just nice to hear about how you had a dream of being an engineer, but you went to business and you enjoyed it. But I thought it was such a good experience because it goes to the second point, which is really sharing about your passion for education tech and how you have a passion for thinking about what Gen Z are excited to learn and already are learning versus the teachers versus the needs of the economy. I thought it was such a really interesting way to explain the needs of the students and the teachers for the Middle East. And lastly, thanks for sharing your broader advice about the Middle East in terms of not looking at it as one big region, but looking at different countries, different economies, different histories, but also making sure that you're able to localize and adapt for each market as well. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Brave. If you enjoyed this episode, please share the podcast with your friends and colleagues. We would also appreciate you leaving a rating or review. Head over to www.bravesea.com for member content, resources, and community. Stay well and stay brave.